Hello and welcome to another update video about ADA. The ADA chart currently follows the preferred forecast here on the larger time frame that we get one more high in wave 5, ideally into the target region. At least that's sort of what we've defined already months ago. Ideally into the region between 85 to 96 cents. As we get a little bit more price data on the micro structures, we can also define that in a little bit more detail, okay, and more precisely. Now, looking at the structure, we are dealing here with a pattern that we call a leading diagonal, or it could also be an ending diagonal. We don't really know that yet, but it's a diagonal pattern, which regardless of the larger time frame or the context, should ideally form one more high. And again, that one more high would be a fifth wave, and it should get into this target region. So that's what we've been watching for in the last few weeks and actually months. And the idea was that we completed already this wave 1, which topped in July. We completed this wave 2, which bottomed in September. We completed this wave 3, which topped in December. And the wave 4 might be complete. It is still technically possible to get another dip down, but that is the alternative at the moment until micro support levels break. Typically my process is watching for a 5-wave move to the upside above an initial resistance level to confirm that a low has been struck in a correction. This is, as you might know, really challenging in a scenario in which we're actually dealing with a diagonal pattern, because technically speaking, we don't need 5-wave movements in a diagonal. So it could be that you're waiting for 5 waves, and they just don't turn up, you know, and it still goes up, goes up, goes up. So my process is therefore, once we at least have completed certain Fibonacci extensions, you know, or reached, I can add at least a micro support level. You won't get more clarity than that. And I was able to do that in the last week, and the micro support area hasn't changed. 1 second. Micro support area hasn't changed. So looking at the micro structure, it is possible that this wave 4 finished. That was here on the 23rd of January. And then we were watching for a 5-wave move. So far, we can only see 3 waves. But similar to ETH, I added a support area here, which is between 52.9 and 56.9 cents. And I highlighted to you, I mean, we don't need to get into this area, yeah, because it might never form 5 waves. But as long as it's holding that, you know, we can focus on higher, because if it's forming 5 waves, then at least it should go into this region, but hold it and continue. So the idea is, in this scenario, in this bullish approach, we can either expect further upside more directly or after a dip into support. Only a break below 52.9 cents would likely send the price back into the alternative wide wave count here on this time frame, and we would be forming a more complex WXY structure. And then wave 4 would complete here instead of having completed here. Yeah, but there's no point focusing on that as long as we hold above support. So as soon as we can add support levels, yeah, and as soon as the larger trend, the larger trend is up. So as the larger trend is up, and the smaller trend is up, it makes sense to focus on further upside as long as the micro support levels are holding. If we can add support to the chart, it makes sense to do it and then just, yeah, follow it and, you know, just watch it. And that's sort of the idea. Few more things to mention here. First of all, we are dealing now with an area of resistance. So I mentioned already earlier today on Telegram and Discord that this entire region here is now basically an area of resistance. You see why? So all these previous swing highs from December that the price couldn't get above, or formed actually, the price couldn't get above these price levels here. And then that's basically all the way up to 68.8 cents, because we don't only have the swing highs sit there, we're also dealing with those Fibonacci extensions that are still relevant for wave 3. So the next one is 64 cents. So if we can break above that level, that's sort of micro resistance. A break above that level can send us to 66 and then 68.8. A break above 68.8 could actually send the price higher more directly to possibly even 84, 85 cents to 96. And it might mean that it's doing it really directly, this pathway, okay? So that's what I'm watching. Obviously, if we don't even form here nice 5 waves, then we will have to look at the structure up there. Technically speaking, I have to mention that that's a scenario that can always happen because we're dealing with a diagonal. These tend to change and morph, and we're dealing with corrective structures. But it doesn't make a difference in the short term. We also don't know that, yeah. It could be that this here was just a larger A wave in 3 waves. This here was a B wave. So if it completely blasts through this resistance area, there you go. Then we are, on our way to $2 plus more directly. This is nothing I would promote at this stage or find highly likely at this stage. Yeah. However, it is something to already mention. From a technical point of view, from a trading point of view, it doesn't really make a difference because from the Elliott wave perspective, the time to really find an entry was basically in the support area, okay, which was defined between here, these Fibonacci levels in yellow, and the price dipped into it. There were several weeks in which positions could have been entered for anybody who wanted to, and now it's obviously moving up. And then a wise or a reasonable approach could be to take some partial profits in resistance areas. For example, there are hundreds of strategies, right? And then maybe more here. And if it just blasts through for the remaining position, just adding a stop loss, right? And just letting it stop out if there is a break of support. Yeah, but so far it's interesting. ADA is starting to get a little bit of upside momentum. At this stage, it can easily still fail, especially as long as it hasn't broken out above the recent swing highs from December, January. But it's interesting. I think the next upside targets are defined. We talked about them. The micro support area is defined. The alternative has been watched or looked at. And yeah, please be aware that if the 53 cent level is broken to the downside, we're likely heading down to 43.9 cents. Okay, that's my update about ADA. Hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. Also, make sure that you follow us on Instagram and Twitter for additional content. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.